Hello guys and welcome to Coin Engineer. So today I'm going to quickly show you guys how to use TradingView on the mobile app. So let's take our phone over here and we're going to start with heading into the App Store or the Google Store, whichever one you guys have. And then we're going to install our TradingView mobile app. And once you guys install the TradingView mobile app, what I want you guys to do is go ahead and log in. And if you guys don't have a login, what you can do is you can go ahead and sign up. And I will leave it in the description. I will leave sign up link for the TradingView if you guys don't have one already. You guys can choose to use the free version, which will give you a little bit of a restriction, but you guys can also go ahead with the paid version as well, which will give you a lot more access into the TradingView. And let's go ahead and get started. So once you guys come into the TradingView, you guys will see first your watch list. And if this is your first time logging into your TradingView, you guys will have some at default. You guys can use this plus sign on the top right section to add to your watch list, and then later down the road save this watch list and have different watch lists for yourself. And let's say I wanted to add something here, I can go ahead and, for example, I wanted to add Tesla. I can click this plus sign next to the Tesla Inc. and then that will add it into my watch list. So let's go ahead and actually start with Bitcoin in order to do the charting. So what I'm going to do is click on Bitcoin. If you guys want to go ahead and go into the charts, what you can do is click the square button over here next to the time frames. And if I click that square, I will be navigated into my chart. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and use our trend line over here. I can click this pencil icon over here and this will take me to my drawings. We're gonna stick with the basic ones. So I'm gonna stick with the trend line and I'm gonna show you one feature that you can use, which is this keep drawing button over here. So if you click on this keep drawing button, what it's gonna do is it's gonna stay locked on whatever your last pick was. So for example, if I have this keep drawing option over here and I click on trend lines, what I can then do is I can just continue to create trend lines one after the other. So now what I can do is I can show you guys how to do it without this. I'll unselect this keep drawing option over here and then I'll go into trend line, and as you guys can see, if I draw a trend line over here, after drawing one trend line, it is over. So that's basically what that function is for. So I'm gonna delete all of this stuff, and as you guys notice over here, I have a different color for my trend line at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and change that color. The reason I had that changed is because I wanted to show you guys how to use this feature as well. So what I can do is I can go ahead and select it as white for now. And if you guys wanted to change the thickness of that, you can go ahead and click this 2px to change that as you wish. So for now, let's go ahead and look into our time frames. So as you guys can see, we have our time frames over here. If I click this next to that Bitcoin USDT, I can see that is my time frame. And when I click that, I will go into my date ranges of the time frame. So if I wanted to go into the lower time frames, I can see my minutes over here. On the higher time frames, I can see the hours and the days. And if you guys wanted to have any of your favorites selected and you guys wanted to basically make it easier for yourself to be able to go into these time frames which are your favorites, then you can go ahead and select them as your favorites. And the way to do that will be to just keep it clicked and just simply add it to favorites. So for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 5-minute into my favorites and also the 15-minute into my favorites, because these are the ones that I generally use most of the time. So what you guys can now do is another option is if you guys wanted to add an interval, for example, what you can do is you can go ahead, add interval, and let's say I wanted to add a 9-minute time frame, which actually nobody really uses. Just for the sake of the video, I'm gonna do that. And then now you guys can see that we have the 9-minute time frame added over here. So let's go back to our chart, and for the sake of this video, let's go back into our drawings, and you guys can see this measure button over here. With this measure button, that comes in pretty useful actually. We can do multiple things. So if I wanted to actually see how much of a percentage of a change we have had since this low to this new high over here, I can basically go ahead and see there was about 12% of up periods since the last 4 days and 13 hours. So that's basically where it comes in pretty useful. But the way that I usually use this app is not only for seeing the percentage differences, but also for seeing the time differences and the time intervals as well. So for example, if I wanted to calculate certain things and certain patterns, so for example, let's say I wanted to see how long from here. Let's go into our arrow market. How long from here to, let's select our keep drawing, to here. I wanted to see that, let's say. What I can do is I can go ahead and measure this to see how long it's been. It's been about around 250 days for this consolidation period. And let's say I wanted to find a pattern of how long the next consolidation might last. So let's say I wanted to find out. So what I can then do is I can go ahead, unselect this measure, come over here, select our measure option again, and then start measuring from here about another 250 days. So what I'm going to, for example, do is I can see the date is Thursday, 24th July of 2025 here. So what I want to do here is I want to put a vertical line to mark that date. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and select that again. It was around July 24th, something like that. So you can go back in the video and to figure out what it was. But basically, you can use a function like this to keep that selected now. And then that will allow you to have that date selected. And then let's go back into our drawings here and see what else we can use. So just like our vertical lines, we can also use horizontal lines and horizontal rays. So the reason we generally use these horizontal line and horizontal rays is for your support and resistance lines if you guys wanted to do such thing. So I can select my horizontal ray over here, and then let's say from my previous all-time high I wanted to have that selected, and then I can click this to have that. So if I go into the lower time frames, I can go ahead and see where my resistance of the previous high was. And then if I wanted to do the same thing for my support line, I can go ahead and go back into my horizontal ray and then go into the daily. And let's say the lowest position over here was 74K. So now I can see that is my support line. And if you guys wanted to do different things, like for example, I can go over here, change the color of this to make it red. So this way, you know, the red one is your resistance. And let's say the green one is your support. So you can have things like this. Some of the other things you can do is you can add these into an object tree. And basically what this means is you can create folders for these, and I can basically select names. So now this horizontal line will stay there, and if I didn't want to see this anymore, I can just click this on the thing, and that will no longer be there, and I can go ahead and add this into the same object tree if I wanted to. I just take that trend line and then I just go ahead and drag it into my folder. So now I can basically see that this should be in that object tree basically. So if I go there, I can basically see that. I unselect this and see, as you guys can see, those are no longer visible. So if I go back to my object tree now, and if I wanted to again select this and make it visible, now I can see they both come up. The way that I generally use this is obviously for marking the sessions of the New York time zones and things like that on the daily. From 9 a.m. to around 9:30 a.m. or to 10 a.m. your New York session opens. So you wanted to mark those zones from day to day, and you wanted to have that selected every single day. You can basically create a folder structure to be able to put these sessions into your chart. And one of the other things that we have that's I generally use is our Fibonacci retracement. As you guys can see, my Fibonacci looks a little bit different than the ones you guys would have. The reason for this is because I changed my settings a little bit, and I played around with the colors a little bit. The way that you will do that is you can click this three dots over here. You can go to settings, and then the ones that you want to have, ideally you can select or unselect. Ideally what will come up are these ones. I changed my colors later on. I don't want to have these other ones. So what I went ahead is I went into settings and I unselected these options over here to only have the 0.5, 0.618 and the 0.786 Fibonacci's. So the reason for that is those are the only ones that I generally use, and I selected certain colors for it to basically help myself understand what those lines represent. And one of the other things that I can do is I can choose to have a background like this, or I can remove it. So you see it will make it much more visible. But if I went back to my settings and I opened my background just a little bit more and then brought it down to here, now I can see that within that I have a little bit of a highlight. Some of the other things you guys can use is if I wanted to take a long position or a short position, this will allow me to make it easier to take a trade. So what I can do is go to the current price, click this, zoom in. I want to take a long position, let's say, and my stop loss is going to be at right below this line, and my long position is going to be for a new all-time high. So now I can see I have a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 2.4. So if I wanted to actually increase that to 1.3, I can basically go ahead and see my risk to reward ratio over here. I can also see my price points right over here for my stop loss, for my entry price point with that gray price area at 104, 110, and then my take profit zone right over here at 105,370. And we will do the same thing for a short position as well. It is the same idea, just in reverse. So what we will do is go over here, click on the short position, zoom in, and then what I can do is, let's say I want to take my profit down here, and then this is my stop loss. So as you guys can see, again, I have my entry at 104, I have my stop loss at 104,235, and then I have my take profit at 103,608. One of the other things that I like is this feature over here, path, that a lot of people use, right? This will be your path feature, which you can basically just keep on drawing and drawing. And if you wanted to stop drawing, you simply just click on that path down where the pencil icon used to be, and then that will stop it for you. And then let's say you actually have this drawn and you wanted to change it up a little bit. I can actually just play around with these and change them up. Lastly, what I'm going to show you guys is that some of the indicators that you guys can add. So in order to add some indicators, what you can do is, so for now, as you guys can see, all I have is my volume ticks indicator. So in order to add some indicators, what we can do is we can go to the settings over here and then click our indicators. What I'm going to go ahead and do is, let's say I want to find a moving average indicator that is a free version. So I'm going to search for an EMA and look into this EMA of 20, 50, 100, and 200, which are generally some of the most used indicators. So let's go ahead and click this. And once I click this, we can see already that this is embedded into our chart. So you guys can also go ahead and search it up on Google for some of these free indicators for yourself, depending on which one you want to use. So one of the ones that I'm going to go ahead and show you is this indicator that I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one, go back into the indicators, and then go into the search and search for TR main. So you will find this Traders Reality Main, which is selected in my favorites. Go ahead and click that one, and this will give you a lot of different features. So once this loads, you can see a lot of different things like your daily opens, your moving averages. So for example, as you guys can see, I have my 50 EMA over here, my 200 EMA, my 800 EMA down as this purple line. I can see my fair value gaps, and you can also go ahead and go into your settings in this and be able to see different things like your sessions. If I wanted to be able to see the market sessions, I can just go ahead and select the market sessions that I want visible. So for example, as you guys can see, I have my US Brinks, which is basically the US session. I can basically just select that or unselect that. So for now, my US sessions should show. But since today is the weekend, there is no sessions showing up at the moment. But once we get into Monday, you will see those sessions basically popping up and being selected for you within those boxes. And you can go ahead and change those colors as well to make it easier for yourself to understand which of those sessions are. So this is literally an indicator that gives you everything in just one indicator, which is why I like this. So shout out to Tino, who is the owner of this indicator. So that's basically all there is to it. And these are the simple functions that you can use on TradingView if you want to use it on the mobile app. And if you guys have any further questions, feel free to mention it in the comments below. But for now, I don't think there's anything complicated on using TradingView on your mobile. The more you use it, the more you will get used to it. Thank you for watching today's video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.